Good morning, everyone. On today's show, I have to talk about my best Street Fighter day ever. Because yesterday was a heck of a day, but it was completely, unplanned the way that it went down. So I'll get you all caught up. In addition, we got a bunch of game news to talk about and some cool updates. And today, we return to Elden Ring to try to fix my build and finish up the DLC. All this and more on today's episode of the Level 1 Podcast. Alrighty, everyone. Welcome to the show. Today is Saturday, the 20th of July, 2024. First off, I just want to make this abundantly clear. We're taking a break from Street Fighter for a few days. Alright, yesterday, I ended up playing Street Fighter way more than I had originally planned, like twice as much. And because of that, I am officially burnt out on Street Fighter. I have no desire to play it for many days until I kind of recoup, and then I get that what do they call it, that craving back for fighting games. I actually need a break from fighters for now after yesterday. Okay, but yesterday was great, and we're going to talk about that. Elden Ring today, we really got to kind of regroup, because what happened last time when we were playing the Shadow of the Erdtree DLC and taking on this final boss is that I tried two different builds. The first build worked, but took way too long, and it was just so tedious to get to the second form of the boss that I wasn't really learning anything at the second form. Then I started using a different build, and that got me to the second form faster, but it would have required me to keep rolling and dodging constantly to win, which is hard to do because the boss has so many effects. I couldn't really see what was going on to time my dodges. So people had made a suggestion around the third hour of my stream of Elden Ring saying, hey, why don't you do a bleed build? Because bleed build works really well against this boss. You're rolling and dodging and hitting him. You'll definitely build up bleed. So I spent an hour running around, grabbing bell-bearing items so that I could buy the smithing stones I needed to level stuff up. I kind of made as best of a build as I could. I respect, and then I went back to do it, and didn't work because I didn't have two of the right weapons. So it was really busted and not what it was supposed to be, and we were out of time. So today, what I'm hoping we will do on the Elden Ring stream is repair that bleed build and make it work properly, either by having two weapons that both have bleed, which was the intention from the get-go, or by doing it a different way. Like, someone had said something about I needed a weapon art or something, and I'm like, okay, so someone told me where it is because I don't have it. So I guess we could go get the weapon art, but it's like, is that going to really help? I don't understand what people were going for, because they were trying to coach me into this bleed build, but I didn't really know what was happening with it. I hadn't used it before, and it definitely didn't work. All right. Now, another thing that's been suggested to me is that apparently the final boss is very susceptible to parrying, which I wouldn't have expected. It's the last boss. You would think the last boss, maybe you couldn't parry at all. But they're apparently saying, oh no, he's actually incredibly parryable. So if you're good at parrying, he's actually not that bad of a boss. And I was like, well, I was parrying in this DLC. So maybe I should try that. So anyway, we have some things to try today. The other cool thing about today is, it looks like we're going to finish Riven, which is nice. It's been a great game, and to see how it all ends and wrap it up will be special and fun. And then we can have other nights for other, gameplay coming up, especially the return of Fallout 4, which is going to happen in a few days. So, yeah, I'm excited for today. I think today's going to be a great streaming day, okay? All right, here's what we'll do. Let's talk about yesterday and how it went, because yesterday went so different from what I had expected it was going to be. So I want to, talk about that, and then what we'll do is we'll cover the schedule for the rest of the week. And then we have some game news actually to cover today. Some pretty interesting game news in regards to Assassin's Creed Shadows. Because once you hear this controversy that has been uncovered, Your mind's going to be blown. I wasn't even aware of it. And then I started reading one post and another article. I was like, wait, what? And it was all true. And I was like, no way. Basically, you know how everyone was up in a tizzy about Assassin's Creed Shadows and how historically accurate it was to say that there was a black samurai in Japan and they chose that samurai to be one of the protagonists of the game. So essentially what they found is that the entire story was fake. The entire historical story was kind of made up. And I'm going to cover that today. I couldn't believe it when I was looking at it. I was like, what? Yeah. Anyway. That'll be a good one to cover. Anyway. Let's begin. So yesterday, guys, Friday. Here's what yesterday was supposed to be. Okay? For my first stream, I was supposed to basically do a new game called Kunitsu-Gami, Path of the Goddess, which was a Game Pass game. It's made by Capcom. It runs on the RE engine. But no one really knew what the gameplay was until very recently when they started to actually show gameplay reveals. However, for like a year and a half as they were advertising this game, they basically just showed really artistic angles and previews that didn't really showcase what the game was. Now, admittedly, I hadn't researched the game because I knew it was a Game Pass game. I knew we might want to try something different during the middle of the summer. And I said, you know what? We'll just play it when it comes out and see what it is. And if I like it, great. And if I don't, we don't have to play it again. Same thing with you guys. If you don't like it, we don't have to continue it. There's no risk involved because I have Game Pass, right? I'm not paying for this game outright. And it is a little odd, I'll admit. Why is a brand new Capcom game on Game Pass day one? Can you think of any other Capcom games that have done that? Street Fighter doesn't do it. Resident Evil doesn't do it. Devil May Cry doesn't do it. Monster Hunter doesn't do it. Like, all the big notable Capcom franchises are not on Game Pass. Why would this one be? It's a little weird, don't you think? So anyway, yesterday we tried this game, and essentially what it is, first of all, graphics are outstanding, but it's on the RE engine, so you're not surprised, right? It runs beautifully. The frame rate is nice and smooth, 60 frames. And the music is very nice and relaxing. It's very, you know, cultural to Japanese, like, feudal-style music and stuff that you would hear around that time. Pretty nice stuff. However, the game is literally a tower defense game. You are a generic samurai guy, and all you do is you run around button mashing because the combos are pretty meaningless. They don't really do anything. And you kill a bunch of... Well, first of all, you cleanse a town, and all you do is run around holding B. So you cleanse the townspeople, you cleanse parts of the town to gain magic, then you use that magic to turn the townspeople into jobs, like the woodcutter, who's a melee fighter, or the archer, who obviously is a sniper class. And then you position them in the town, and then all you do is you initiate a wave of enemies, and the enemies start coming in, and you kill them, and prevent them from touching this woman who's like supposed to be like some kind of a sorcerer or a priestess. You protect her from the demons. You do this in waves. Eventually, you have enough energy built up where she can clear the stage, and then it's over. You go to the next stage. Now, the variation is that, number one, there's bosses that are big monsters you fight, and those are a little bit tougher. Sometimes you have to, like, revive or heal yourself or heal your units that you position around. There's also special attacks that you can unlock. Like, there was one that was a flame attack that built up a stun meter on the boss. But essentially, it is super duper repetitive, super duper basic. And what I mean by that is there's nothing really to it. If you've played a tower defense game, you've basically played Kunitsu-Gami again. You know what I'm saying? Like, you've already played this game. It just looks different. It's pretty. And I do like how nice it looks, for sure. I am liking the looks of the game. But outside of that, this game, no exaggeration, could have been on your phone. You could have played it 7 years ago, and it would have been identical. Okay? So, we played it for about an hour, and I had beaten 3 stages. I beat the first level, which is the tutorial, the first boss level, and the second level. And everyone was bored, including me. I was like, wow. That was nothing like what I would have expected out of Capcom. Like, Capcom usually has experiences that are just less than a one-dimensional style game. And this is 100% one-dimensional. And I was like, oh. So the good news is, because it was on Game Pass, there was no commitment to keep playing it or anything. And I was like, oh, okay. Let's go ahead and let's do something different. So after my first hour experience of boredom, we all agreed I should switch. But the problem was, there was no clear... My hair will not stay up today, you notice that? There was no clear-cut answer for what I should play. If I played Fallout 4, people would be disappointed because they didn't know I was going to bring it back yet. So they would have missed that premiere stream in a bunch of Nuka-Cola World. If I brought back Elden Ring, well, the Elden Ring crowd's coming by today to see me take on the final boss. So it's like, what would I have done that wasn't going to upset people? Well, the only thing I could think of would be multiplayer, so Street Fighter, right? So literally, on the fly, unplanned, for 2 hours, I played ranked Street Fighter with M. Bison at the master level. If you remember when we had played the other day, I think I had ended at like 1,540 points or something like that. All right, so here's the deal. I had my best ranked stream ever in Master. I've never done this well at this level before. It's unprecedented of me doing this well at the Master level. So I played 32 matches. I won 22 out of my 32 matches, a 69% win rate. I skyrocketed my Master rank points from 1,540 up to 1,612. I have beaten the 1,200 barrier and then some. So the hope now is that as I move forward, I will be hopefully get matched with better people. It won't always be the same flowcharting Cammy, Ken, Akuma players and a zillion Bisons. Instead, I will hopefully get variety. I really hope so, because that's how I'm going to learn. Again, my problem is, since I played Bison, I've fought so many Cammy, Ken, Akuma Bisons. I don't have experience against half the cast, right? I think I fought one Blanca, maybe like 1 or 2 Dalsims, right? There's so many characters I've barely fought. Like, Jury, I really don't know what to do against Jury because I've only fought 2. And one of them, like, wasn't good. And the one I played last night in the casual lobby, which we'll talk about, was really good. And I'm just like, you know, I wish I knew, but it's like, how do I learn when I'm never fighting this character because no one uses them anymore at the level I'm at? So, anyway, that was by far the best I've ever done. And if you watch those videos back, you're going to see, basically, I held my combos. I wasn't really dropping. I was doing more optimal things and setups. I was actually locking people down with head stomps and devil reverse. And I'm just going to say this. Out of all the people I see using Bison, I seem to be using head stomp and devil reverse way more than anyone else. I'm trying to innovate my gameplay to make it different from the other Bisons that are all the top Bisons. I don't want to just do the same exact pattern and rush down and things that they do. So, actually, I'm trying to learn and be a little different. And it worked yesterday. Like, the people were getting shut down. They didn't know what to do. And I was having some great close matches against Marisa, who's been my bane since I picked Bison. This is the first time I even beat a Marisa with Bison. Yeah, it was going well. So, yeah, I was very pleased with how that went and shocked because, again, previously, I've had bad experiences, but I think what it is I'm finally getting the hang of the flowcharts and stuff. I'm figuring out how to beat them and interrupt their save hit strings or get around them, you know? So it went really well. I was very pleased with how that went. Now, the thing is, I had another session of Street Fighter already scheduled for Friday Night Fights where I was going to do a casual lobby with Brian, but he also had some of his friends who play Street Fighter who all train together, and he wanted to have a lobby with them too. And I was totally for that. I was like, why wouldn't I do that? I want more variety. Right? That way we all get practice against a variety of characters, right? So the whole first hour of this lobby, I basically picked characters who I haven't used in a while. I used Honda, Lily, and Dalsim. And quite frankly, I was doing really well. I was kicking butt. Particularly with Dalsim, I went like 8-1. It was crazy. And I only lost the one, and I was like, all right, I'm just going to get out of here and switch characters now because I've been winning so much with him, which was weird. I was actually doing like crazy good combos and keep away. I was like, wow. You know, I don't know if it's because I've been playing with Bison or maybe just, I don't know, it's more refreshing because I haven't used Dalsim in a while. But I was doing really good. Like, wow, that's amazing. But basically what happened was I was saving my mains of Blanca and Bison for the end of the stream, like the final hour. I got really tired. Like, it hit me hard. All of a sudden, I got so, what's the word? It's not drained. There's a word for it. When you just, all of a sudden, it hits you and you just feel like you're totally, have no energy, right? So that hit me. I was like, oh. And so I started playing with notably, yes, fatigue. Thank you. That's the word, fatigue. I felt totally fatigued. It like, boom, hit me like a truck. So I tried to play with Blanca. And the funny part is, like, I'm trying to, I'm trying to react to what I'm seeing on screen. But every time I had a chance for a combo, I dropped it. I couldn't even remember what to do. Like, my brain had just brain fart after brain fart. It couldn't access the data. Let's accessing hard drive. What's the combo? What's the combo? I don't remember. I can't do it. I'm too tired. So yeah, I just got tuckered out. And so both playing with Blanca and with Bison, I played very poorly. Like, I was dropping every combo. I was doing every wrong move. I wasn't even, didn't break a throw, nothing, you know? So it kind of sucks because, like, the first 2 hours of gameplay I did earlier in the day was some of the best I've ever done. High-end Bison stuff, beating everyone, getting a higher rank. Then the first hour of the casual lobby went really well, kicking butt with characters I haven't used in a while. And then all of a sudden, boom, I hit the wall. And it's just, the last hour was just so deflating, right? But that's on me. I mean, it wasn't planned that it was going to be like that. And so I already talked with Brian about it. I was like, dude, next time, if we do the lobby, I will definitely not play earlier in the day. It has to be just, I save it for the night because I was so beat. I know I wasn't really giving anyone any comp in that last hour. They were kind of throwaway matches. Now, something else happened that was really weird. So the last time that I did a lobby with Brian, if you remember, we used Discord to talk, and it worked well. This time, it was like night and day. It was terrible. The audio was awful. I listened back to the videos, and I'm like, I can't hear Brian. I can't hear the other guys. I can't even hear the game. Like, what happened here? And by the way, I haven't changed my volume settings in OBS. They're all the same. So apparently, when they updated the Discord app last month, and they made it so that Discord is now integrated into PS5, and you can actually start voice chats and stuff there, they screwed up all the volume, because now whenever Discord turns on, the volume goes way down. So I apologize for that. I didn't know that was happening. The audio in my neck phones was working fine. But then you guys couldn't really hear it. And I mean, that sucks. And I'm really sorry about that. I didn't know that was going on until I listened back to the videos later. And now I understand. So if we do this again, or when we do this again, I should say, because we definitely will, you know, I need to fix that. That's a major problem. The whole point of doing these lobbies that you can hear the other people talking, and we're going back and forth about the game. And Brian and I did have some really good conversation and insight about the game, and I don't think you guys can hear it in the videos. And that sucks. And I'm sorry. Again, I'm sorry for that. That really stinks. But anyway, I hope that you guys will enjoy the matches. If you didn't see them yet, it's basically like a full day of Street Fighter 6 yesterday. But you can understand why I'm beat. And in fact, I'm not lying. My hand hurts. Like, my hand and my wrist actually hurts after having played so much Street Fighter yesterday. So I'm happy to give it a rest today and not play Street Fighter for 3 days. Street Fighter 6 will return as the late stream on Tuesday. Okay? It's not going to be before that. I need this big break from it after having a whole day of it. I'm literally completely beaten. All right? Fair enough? Okay. Now, there's one other thing I wanted to say about it, and I've forgotten. Crap. There's one other thing I wanted to say. I've completely forgotten about it. Well, I'm having a brain fart right now. It is what it is. If I remember, I'll let you guys know. But, all right. So that was Street Fighter yesterday, okay? Now it's time for a big break from it. Let's now... Oh, that's right. I wanted to say that yesterday, thank you to everyone who did actually show up to the Street Fighter streams, whether it was the impromptu one on the earlier stream or the scheduled one on the later stream, and for supporting. I did hit the tier 1 tips goal both streams. I actually got a bunch of gifted memberships that were legit memberships, not bootleg ones. And the support was great. So I was very pleased with that because, as you know, when I play Street Fighter, I don't get to talk with you guys that much. But you guys actually really supported the streams yesterday, and I appreciate that, especially because, remember, Thursday, for some odd reason, was like my slowest stream day in like a year. And I don't know what happened. So I was happy to see like it rally back. I'm like, oh, okay, it was just a bad day then. That's makes me feel better instead of being disheartened, right? So thank you for that. Okay, so let's talk about today. Elden Ring endgame, final boss again. Let's see if we can repair this bleed build. I will need your help. There's something about some like lion's claw ability that people are saying is like the best weapon art you use with bleed build. I'll try to get it. I don't know anything about it. All right. And I don't know. What I'm thinking is, can we fix the bleed build to either make the club I'm using really good or to make it so that I can dual wield bleed weapons? Because right now I only have the one. Is there another colossal weapon, right? That's a normal colossal that I can spec into a bleed weapon. So that way I can have dual bleed weapons. I mean, if so, yes, that's excellent. If not, well, I'm kind of screwed then, right? So let's talk about that and try to figure that out. The other thing is, I was told, like I said, parrying works against the final boss, which I didn't realize. And so with the parry build I was doing earlier, I was able to parry some tough enemies. Maybe I could parry the boss, but I've been told there's a better parrying shield you can get from the vendor at the round table hold or whatever. And that it's the best parrying shield like in the game. And if I parry, apparently what I'm to understand, this shield you can parry without blocking. So you don't have to hold block and tap it. You could just wait for him to attack and just tap it and it, boop, knock him away and parry. But I don't know how that's going to work. I don't know how that's going to work. Yeah, I guess we'll have to see. Anyway, so we're going to work on this stuff. And try to figure this out today. All right? And you know, I would like to beat it today. It takes 3 parries to stun him. Okay, cool. 3 parries. Now, wait a minute. If you parry, does it interrupt his combo? Because if it does, I'm okay with that. If it doesn't interrupt his combo and he keeps attacking, I might be screwed. I don't know. We'll see. We're going to start with bleed build and go from there. If I beat it today, great. If I don't beat it today, I'm still not really... I'll be honest, I'm not really caring. Here's the thing. When I played original Elden Ring, everyone hyped up Melania. Oh my god, she's the toughest thing ever. Want to see how many, you know, how long it takes you to beat her, how many deaths, etc., etc. But I've been there, done that. You know, I basically mastered her last time I played her. And now it's like, with this boss, I'm going to be honest, I know I'll beat him. I just don't really care how I do it or how fast I do it. I don't feel like there's any pressure or any rush. When I feel like there was a sense of urgency and hype behind beating Melania. Excuse me, Melania. I always get her name wrong. There was like a sense of urgency to beating Melania. There's like no sense of urgency to beating this boss at all. Right? Like, I could beat it today. I could beat it later this week. I could beat it in a month. It doesn't really matter. Like, I don't really care. I know I can beat him. It's just a matter of memorization and a little bit of luck and a good build. So I feel like it's more formulaic now. You know what I mean? Like, when I was fighting Melania, it was like, damn, I don't know how I'm going to pull this off. She's insane. This guy, it's like, yeah, he's good. It's crazy. It's challenging, but it's formulaic at this point. I know what Elden Ring is. You memorize the boss pattern. You play well without making mistakes. You get a little bit of luck, because every once in a while they do the attack you can't really dodge or whatever. And then, you know, you have a good build, and then you're going to win. It's just a matter of time. It's a matter of iterations until you get to that point that you're going to get it done. So it doesn't really feel... I think what it really is I played too much FromSoft style stuff recently. You know, there was Lies of P. It was my original run in the Magic Run last year of Elden Ring. Then there was finishing the Magic Run in Elden Ring. Then there was another Crab's Treasure. And then there was Shadow of the Erdtree. And it's like, that's way too much of the same style, to the point where I get to the end, I'm like, meh. I'm not really hyped or caring that much, you know? Like, I know I'll do it. It's just, I don't really care that much. It's not that big of a deal to me. You know what's even sad is, like, next month we got Black Myth Wukong, and if this plays just like a FromSoft game, I might be kind of burnt out on it, you know? Then again, at least that will have a completely different style to it. Much like with another Crab's Treasure, it was refreshing because you were in an undersea environment. Everything was, the world design was, like, ingenious. So maybe if Black Myth Wukong is like that, it actually would be a little bit more interesting. I don't know. But I just feel like I'm burnt off on the whole FromSoft thing. Like, I probably at this point want to take an official break from real FromSoft games for a while. It's just too much of the same. You know what I mean? So we'll see how it goes today. If it goes well and I beat it, great. If I don't, I don't really care. We'll just play it again. You know what I mean? Like, it's not that big a deal to me. So... Now, later tonight on the late stream, 6:45 p.m. Pacific time, Riven Remake will conclude. And I'm being told by basically multiple parties, yes, I'm definitely beating it tonight, but there are a little bit of twists and some tricky things at the end that may help me determine how long it takes for me to beat it. So I might, if I do well, I might just, boom, go right through and do it real quick, or it could take me a while. All right? So we'll see how it goes tonight, and but it should be a good way to see the end of Riven and see how it all ends, okay? Tomorrow is React Day, meaning we're going to do my clip show, DSP versus the Internet on DSP Reacts on the day stream. And we're going to finish up my retro react to my original Dark Souls 1 run on DSP Throwback on the late night stream, which I'm excited for because that coincides kind of with the end of Elden Ring here, right? We get to see the Rage Quit live together for the first time. FYI, if you are a member on my DSP Reacts channel, you must submit your clips for tomorrow's show by the end of my streams today. So you must, by the end of my late stream of Riven, you must have submitted your clip. You cannot submit the clip after that. I make the playlists right after that late stream. It's always been like this. So please do so that way you don't miss out on your chance to get your clip watched tomorrow. Okay? Then on Monday, we're returning to Fallout 4. Yes, I'm going to bring back Fallout 4 as the day stream on Monday. We're going to continue on with the Nuka-Cola, our Nuka World DLC. We're actually in the part of the DLC that's a little better, where you go around the park and you're clearing it of all enemies and puzzles and stuff. It's better than previous, where you were just kind of doing stuff for the gangs. Now it actually picks up and gets more interesting. And I think after that, it's the home stretch. Like, I think you do that, there's some story elements, and then it's the home stretch of the DLC. So we'll see how far we get there. That should be fun to have that come back on Monday after a hiatus. And then Monday night, more Stardew Valley. And I'll be honest, fingers crossed, I'm hoping that Stardew Valley actually get some recovery, because what I mean by that is we've always had Stardew Valley be a stream that not only had a ton of engagement but also support. And then when I played Stardew Valley the other night, it was actually one of the slowest streams I've ever done. And I was like, what happened? Like, no support? And people were like, well, it could be that it's played out. You're over 20 hours in now. The initial people who supported it did up first, but they're not going to keep supporting it every time. You know, there's all these various different reasons. Maybe it was just a bad night. So let's see how it goes. Street Fighter recovered. I mean, literally, we had a bad day of Street Fighter Thursday and then an entire day of great Street Fighter support Friday. So let's see what happens on Monday night for Stardew Valley. If it ends up being real slow again, then probably I'm going to reduce the amount I play the game. It'll probably end up being like once a week moving forward then. Okay? Now, Tuesday is completely up in the air, because on Tuesday, I may start something new. I may bring back something that I've already been playing, or it may be more Elden Ring, depending on if I beat Elden Ring today or not. Like, I don't know what's going to happen, right? So I guess we'll see on Tuesday, you know, based on what happens today. We'll try to make a judgment. Do I do something new? What's it going to be? We'll figure that out based on how today's stream goes. And then Tuesday night will be Street Fighter 6 on a late stream. What will it be? You know, I don't know. I obviously, with Bison, I'm on my way up. Maybe I should play Bison again. Or, look at this. This hair will not agree with me today. It just wants to keep going down on my forehead. What is going on? It's like it has a mind of its own. It's alive. It's a snake or something. A Medusa head today. Anyway. Yeah, so Street Fighter Tuesday night, I'm just not sure what to do. Maybe I should bring back a character like Dalsim or Honda or something, who I haven't played with in ages, right? Maybe we will. All right, so anyway, that's the streaming week. I'm off on Wednesday. Next week is all over the place. Don't know what I'll be doing next week. There's many different options, but remember, next week, folks, is 1 week from today, actually, is DSP's Digital Summer Party. That's right, only 1 week from today. We're going to be doing a full marathon stream of summer fun, including food and booze, including games, perhaps a summertime-themed tier maker, and other things. So it should be a great event. Already what we've been talking about is probably doing some varied play in Street Fighter 6, maybe a little Stardew Valley chill if people still want it. Like I said, it is starting to die out. I don't know. Like I said, tier maker, we could do a tier maker about food. We could do a tier maker about summer activities. We could do all kinds of stuff. We got to maybe look that up over the week and figure that out and narrow that down, hammer it in. And there's that Nintendo World Championships game that just came out, and people are actually like, yeah, it's really fun. The challenge runs and the classic games are really cool. And I was thinking that we could actually bring that in and maybe have it as a stream or part of that stream to give it a test and see if you guys like it. And maybe we actually want to bring it back as something we do from time to time. So that's some of my ideas. If you guys have any ideas, also please share. But it should be a fun time. You guys have wanted a marathon now for a couple of months. So we're finally doing one on Saturday of next week, 1 week from today. It should be a good time. Marathon setting. And yeah, I'll have some booze and stuff that day too. So a little bit more loose. Okay? Cool. So that's next week. And then around that, we're going to have Street Fighter. We're going to have Fallout. We're going to have Stardew. We may have something new if I beat Elden Ring. So it'll be good stuff. Okay? All right. Oh, by the way, the one other thing, and this is the big X factor. So EVO weekend is right now. EVO is going on. This big fighting game championship in Las Vegas. And no exaggeration, Capcom is there. And they have the Marvel vs. Capcom collection on display. They're running tournaments on it. They actually just had an X-Men versus Street Fighter tournament. They already said they're going to have a Marvel 1 and 2 tournament. And it's like, it's done. The game is done. It got rated by the ESRB. This game 100% is completed. It could be sold right now, but they're not selling it yet. So everyone is speculating that probably tomorrow during EVO Finals Day, they're going to make the big announcement. MVC Collection is now available for sale and you can buy it. If that happens, yes, I am changing the schedule for the week. I'm going to be playing that collection this week, and I'm going to go through all of the games, like the history of the Versus series, and I'm going to play each one and show you guys how to play them and the differences between them. I'm also going to be playing online play in pretty much all of them, you know, and I'm going to try to get it on PC, which would mean the optimal settings and levels for the game, right? I should be able to tweak the graphics, have no input delay, play with my new Victrix joystick. It's going to be wild and super fun. If it comes out, it would make no sense for them not to release it. They have it at EVO. It's complete. Everyone's playing it and playing tournaments on it. So what would they be waiting for exactly? It wouldn't even make sense because the hype levels are super high right now. Everyone is excited for this game on social media, is ready to buy it. Thousands upon thousands of people want this game. So why would they hold off on selling it? So they're very well, this schedule this week could change around based on if that Marvel collection comes out. If it does, I am all over it, and we can play it and enjoy awesome classic fighters for the first time in a very long time. Okay? Cool. So there you have it. That's what's going on right now with my schedule and everything. Now it is time for your favorite segment and my favorite segment. And sometimes someone even says, our furry friends, our loved ones, you know, our pets, cats, dogs, rats, hamsters, mice, chinchillas, guinea pigs, rabbits, ferrets. Sometimes people say even they think that DSP News is their best segment of the show. All right? I don't know why, because they don't understand English. I don't know why it would be their favorite segment, but some people say it is. So we have two big news stories today. The first big news story is that Bethesda Game Studios have fully unionized. The entirety of Bethesda. Everything Bethesda does, all of their games, all of their employees are now unionized. Okay? Now, this is a good thing, but it may also be a bad thing, and allow me to explain. It's a good thing because, as you know, over the last decade, we have had time and time again horror stories from game development studios about overwork, underpay, mandatory crunch, a bad toxic work culture, right? All these things can be solved by unionizing. If the union is well-intentioned and well-run, a union can very well stick up for workers' rights and make sure that a lot of these things don't happen. Or, if they do happen, that people are properly compensated, right? That was always the problem. Oh, required crunch, you have to work 80-hour work weeks. What the fuck? Are you out of your mind? I don't care about your deadline that you promised a shareholder that this game was coming out at a certain date. I'm not going to kill myself to make your stupid video game, right? But that's what it's been like in the gaming industry as of late, the last 10 years, horror story after horror story. It's every studio. It's not even just like, oh, this one is the culprit. It's like, no, Rockstar, EA, Ubisoft, you know, Activision Blizzard, Bethesda, they're all doing it. They're all assholes, right? And so, in regards to the unionization of Bethesda, I would say this is a very good thing, and I would hope that other major studios follow suit. The workers need rights, they need to be respected, and they need to be paid for their work, and all that stuff is good. But there is kind of a wrinkle to this situation. If you remember, when Starfield came out, it wasn't that good, right? Let's all be honest here. Let's not sugarcoat it. It wasn't that good. Now, I've heard that it's improved. It's been patched. It runs better now. But the game just felt a lot samey to other video games that Bethesda has put out. The new features they added, like shipbuilding, base building on planets, crafting, is literally worthless content that no one needs to ever do. So it just wasn't a very different, inspiring game, correct? And so when people were actually interviewed about this, some former people who worked on Starfield but left the company actually were honest. They were like, there's too much bureaucracy. There's too much. It's too corporate at Bethesda. What does that mean? Bethesda grew to such a point. Like, think about all the things under the Bethesda umbrella right now, right? You got all the Elder Scrolls, all the Fallouts. Now you got Starfield. You've got the Doom games. You've got so many franchises under the guise of Bethesda, under the umbrella, that basically they grew too big for their own good. And the way that the studio works is that there's levels and levels of bureaucracy that you have to go through to get anything done. So this one former game dev actually gave an example about Starfield. He was like, the reason that the ending of Starfield essentially sucks and feels like it's rushed and doesn't make sense, it's the whole multiverse ending that the game has, is because it really was rushed and they didn't have an ending for the game. They ran out of time and didn't know what the ending should be. So they panicked and rushed to just get an ending out. Why did they have to do that? Because the game took so long to develop because of bureaucracy. For example, oh, I just realized we need to have a unique chair for this scene. So they would send that request off to another dev part of the group. They couldn't make the chair themselves. They didn't have the resources to do that. They had to send off the request to the department, but it had to go through 2 levels of approval, then go over there to that department, and then the department had to have time to review it, check out the scope of work, get back with a quote on how long it would take to actually design and turn back this chair. So we need a chair, and no lie, it takes 2 months to get a fucking chair. So if it takes 2 months to get one game asset, how long do you think it's going to take to make a game? 7, 8 years, right? And that's the problem. Bethesda's become so big, so bureaucratic, so going through these 100 levels of approval to get anything done, nothing ever gets done, and so the games are coming out and they suck. They take too long to make, and then you can't get anything done. They literally wrote the ending of the game on a whim because they couldn't think of what to do because they ran out of time. That's why the ending is terrible, okay? So, if Bethesda is already too big for its own good and already too bureaucratic, how is unionizing going to help that problem? If anything, what unionizing does, it adds more layers of approval, more layers of bureaucracy, more layers of delay to a company that already is not good at putting out games in any kind of a satisfactory manner. So if you thought, oh man, it's taking too long for Elder Scrolls 6 to come out, you may have to wait even longer for it because now they've unionized, right? That's what I mean. Like, everything's a double-edged sword in life. A lot of the times you got to see both sides. I'm happy that they unionized. I want them to be treated fairly. I want them to get their fair shake. I don't want them to be mistreated and overworked. You know, everyone deserves that in the workplace. The problem is your company already isn't efficient. So now you've added in another level of things that will make you even less efficient. That's a problem, you know? Bethesda will only be successful for a limited time until they start putting out better games again. Starfield was not the success they wanted. They put an insane amount of time and effort into it, and it did not do nearly as well as they had hoped, okay? They're hoping with this DLC that's coming out that this is going to bring more people to it, much like how Phantom Liberty brought more people to Cyberpunk 2077. I'm not so sure that's going to happen. I think actually what will happen is you'll get more people jumping back into the game who already own the Deluxe Pass. I don't foresee new people jumping into Starfield because there's a DLC out like they did with Cyberpunk, okay? So, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. And I'm very worried about the future of Bethesda games, notably Elder Scrolls and Fallout. I mean, right now the situation they're in is ludicrous. Fallout TV show comes out. They have no products whatsoever to offer people to tie in with it besides 7 to 8-year-old games at the youngest, right? What the fuck were they thinking there? That's the most boneheaded business move. put out a TV show that popularizes your franchise in the mainstream. Your IP is popular now, but you have nothing to offer anyone because you're so bureaucratic and bloated, you can't do any work. What a bunch of fucking idiots in charge over there. Todd Howard, yeah, he's dropped the ball. He's a moron. I can't believe he thought this was a good idea. It's really stupid thinking. So yeah, I can't imagine what's going to happen with Fallout now. You know, and again, we keep saying, why don't they just outsource Fallout? Why don't they give it to another studio to work on? If they really don't have the resources or the means to do anything because they're so fucked up with the way they run, give the projects off to someone else who's willing to do it. No, it's our baby. We're not going to do that. Like, okay, you say so. Anyway, so that's what's going on with Bethesda right now. Now it's time for the other story, which I already teased. So as you know, when Assassin's Creed Shadows was announced a couple months ago, they said there's two protagonists. A female ninja, which already people have issue with because they're like, there really weren't that many female ninjas, and one of them being the protagonist is kind of ridiculous, but whatever. But the other one is a black samurai by the name of Yasuke. And all of a sudden, when this was announced, people started yelling, oh, but you can't say that this is like them trying to force, I forgot the word, diversity. This is not them trying to force diversity down your throat by having a black samurai as the main character of the game, because he's real. He's historically accurate. Didn't you know? There actually was a black samurai in Japan called Yasuke. And he served under this actual shogun guy for a while and was almost like his right-hand man, bodyguard style guy for a bit, until the guy died, and then he basically went on and did his own thing, and I guess he kind of faded out of history after that. Now, immediately, when this was announced, everyone has to argue about it. Some people are like, no, that's bullshit. It's not historically accurate. You made it up. Others are like, no, it's completely historically accurate. It's not made up. And then there's people who are like arguing levels of in between, saying, actually, even though Yasuke was taken up as like one of the sword hands or whatever of this shogun guy, he really wasn't a samurai. He kind of had the power of a samurai, but he wasn't regarded as a samurai at the time. In fact, a lot of people said really what he was kind of a, hate to say it, kind of like a talking piece. Like, oh, look, that shogun has a black guy who works for him. Wow, that's crazy. In Japan, to have someone who's foreign to be part of your, like, inner circle. Oh, wow, how prestigious and stuff like that. So essentially, he was being used to make the shogun look good, right? Well, because other shoguns couldn't have that, and he had it. You know what I'm saying? So in reality, it's kind of messed up. It's not actually what people think. It's not, oh, he was really applauded and lauded as a samurai. He was more as like being used as a tool to get over this shogun. Do you see? Like, he's showing off, right? Anyway, ever since this happened, this announcement and this argument back and forth, people have started to do research. Well, guess what? Guess what's been discovered? Are you ready for this? The entire story is fake. The entire thing is made up by a guy named Thomas Lockley. Thomas Lockley, okay, was basically a part of the program at Nihon University in Japan. He's white. Okay? Ready? Get ready. I mean, I can't believe this story, but it's true. He's a white guy who got himself into a Japanese university, and he basically made up this story. Basically, he says Yasuke was a nobody. He was used by the elites in Japan to support the idea of Afrocentrism. He really was just kind of almost a slave. He wasn't a samurai. He wasn't given samurai duties. He was pushed forward and dressed up, but that was it. Historically, that's what it was. But this guy, Thomas Lockley, he went to Japan. Just listen to this. Here's what he did. Are you ready for this? This is crazy. This guy created a fictional embellished story. Okay? Just listen to this. He made it up, saying that he was a samurai completely. He never was. He was trying to sell books. He was trying to sell this story, and he actually fooled this Japanese university into doing it. Then people went to places like Wikipedia and started editing the articles and stuff. So they did all this deep research, and they come to find out this Thomas Lockley guy, all right, he was the one editing Wikipedia to fit his own narrative of what he was trying to push so that he could write books, do interviews, make articles, and talk about this phantom story that he fucking made up. Okay? It's pretty insane. Now, how did this come to light? How did people find out? Because after this Assassin's Creed Shadows went mainstream and the big debate went into social media, the Japanese government looked into it. And they found out the truth about the story. They called this guy out, Thomas Lockley, and guess what they did? They fired him from the university. They completely disbarred him, like, from doing any work at the university ever again. They just got rid of him. They shit-canned him, saying they realized the whole story was fake. It's pretty fucked up. So, guys, the things you're quoting are from what this guy wrote. People are idiots. They're actually in my chat quoting Wikipedia, which is what this guy made up. They found out this guy, Thomas Lockley, was the guy who wrote the Wikipedia articles. He's the one who was editing them to say the information you're putting into my chat right now. You're quoting the fake information. He made it up. Yes, the actual truth. And this is from the Japanese government. They outright came out and said, listen, the truth is, yes, this guy was used as kind of like a symbol, but he wasn't really a samurai. It actually kind of is messed up. It's a messed up history. He wasn't a hero. He wasn't anything. Yes, the Japanese people in power at that time used Yasuke as a way to get over. But he was never what they're trying to say he was in this game, or what this Thomas Lockley claimed he was in the stories he wrote, in the books he wrote. He made it all up so that he could make money. It was a scam, actually. Okay? So, that's just crazy. Yeah, so here's some of the comments on social media about it. So in the end, a white person's invention is monetizing a token black person. Yeah, the guy's a scumbag, basically. This Thomas Lockley guy is a complete scumbag. Here you go. Huge possibility he fabricated Yasuke for his book and sales career. He has since deleted all of his social media accounts. Nihon University deleted everything about him ever, so there's no history he ever worked at the university. Wow. So it's funny because you got idiots in the chat. Again, they're just regurgitating stuff. And it's like, do you think that the actual university that he worked at would have deleted his entire history of him working there if he was telling the truth? Right? But anyway, the truth is it doesn't matter, right? Here's the funny part. None of it matters at all. It's just a video game, and we could just say, well, it's embellished for the sake of the game. That's all correct. The problem is Ubisoft tries to say stuff like, oh, based on a true story, and this is because this was real and that was real. And it's not. If they would just lean into more bullshit, I think it'd be fine. But they always try to have this like, oh, yeah, it's based on a nugget of truth from history. No, it isn't, actually, at all. It's not. It's made up. It's a made-up story for this guy to sell books, to feel like, oh, because they were so liberal in Japan and they empowered a black man to be a samurai, and none of it happened. He made the whole fucking thing up and got disbarred and fired from a university, erased. He deleted his social media accounts because the guy is a joke, and it was all exposed when Ubisoft chose that to be the subject matter of their video game. So there's the story. Okay. All right. Last story of the day. SNK has announced they are now going to make a new Art of Fighting game, and they are also going to make a Samurai Showdown action RPG hybrid game. They announced this, I guess, at EVO, and everyone was like, what? Like, here's the thing. SNK is a good company, and I like their games that they've made over the years, but King of Fighters I don't really like anymore. I don't really like the way that it fights. So now they got this new Fatal Fury game coming out next year, and people are hyped for that and wondering if it'll be any good. But now they're already announcing 2 more games. It's like, wait a minute. You didn't release Fatal Fury yet. Yes, there's interest in Fatal Fury. 2 of your characters are going to be guest characters in Street Fighter 6. The new Fatal Fury game's coming out. But the game didn't come out yet. You know what I'm saying? Like, if it comes out and it's a hit, then be like, okay, now we're working on the next 2 games. But instead, it's like they jumped that step, and they're saying, we're just going to keep coming out with a bunch more games. It's like, but wait a minute. Are you sure? Because you don't know how Fatal Fury is going to sell. Are you sure you want to jump into making more of this stuff, right? So I don't know. Like, I'm on the fence about this. Like, people keep asking me, are you going to play the Fatal Fury game? I don't know. I might. I might not. I'm undecided at this point. But now, like, are you going to play Art of Fighting? I don't know. Art of Fighting, that game hasn't been around since the 90s. And they weren't very good. Just to be fair, the Art of Fighting games were probably some of the worst when it came to, like, competitive fighting games. They were showy for the time. Like, they had this unique thing that when you hit someone with a special move, the camera would, like, zoom in and then pan out again during the special move to emphasize the damage or whatever. But it wasn't really a very competitive series. It really was the King of Fighters series that was the competitive fighting series for them. So, I don't know what another Art of Fighting game is going to do. I wasn't aware there was a desire for another Art of Fighting game. If Samurai Showdown, this action RPG hybrid game, that could be interesting. Instead of it just being a straight-up fighting game, making it like an RPG hybrid game where you run around, actually level up your characters and stuff, and there's epic boss fights, that could be pretty neat. I feel like that might do pretty well. So, we'll see. But that was kind of interesting because it came out of left field at EVO. They announced all the stuff they're doing. It's like, whoa, cool. Okay. So, that is the news for today. And I clicked the wrong thing, sorry. And, like, no lie, every day I keep going to social media and I keep checking to see, hey, did they announce the MVC collection is coming out yet? Right? Did they announce the date for that yet? Because they have it at EVO. It's literally right there at EVO. I don't know why it just wouldn't be released. Right? But there's nothing. I'm checking. Nothing. Still nothing. Like I said, I think it's going to be tomorrow. I really feel like it'll probably be like tomorrow's the finals day where they're broadcasting all their finals. And I bet what they're going to do, I bet what they're going to end up doing is they're going to announce it during that. I feel. But anyway, yeah, nothing yet, right? Okay. All right. All right, guys. At this point, let's do some shout-outs, and then we'll see what you guys want to talk about. We'll have some conversation back and forth on the show. By the way, I will say this, just a reminder. Yes, there is a new suggestion box. Yes, it is live. You can post up your suggestions there. And yes, we'll be reviewing it. We have to have a day when there's no news. It just so happens since I launched the new suggestion box, what was it, last week? We've had news like every day, right? Like we've literally had like news stories to cover. So the show has had so much discussion that there's not a lot of time. There's no time for suggestion box. So just of course, that's the timing, right? I launched the new suggestion box. Everyone put suggestions in, but now we're busy with news, so we can't get to it. But I promise you we will get to it. Please continue to submit suggestions. Probably, you got to think by the end of this week, there'll be a day with no news, right? Okay. Let's go. All right. On the YouTube side of stuff, thank you to Luthes, who did a super chat and says, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth now, please. No, I've already announced that I'm not playing it. It had its time to shine when it was new. People didn't like it then. No one has done enough to convince me that bringing it back now is going to work. Plus, apparently I have, no exaggeration, 60+ hours left to beat it. I'm about 20 hours in, and people are saying it's about an 80-hour game. I don't have 60 gameplay hours to get through it in the next month. Remember, in 1 month's time is Black Myth Wukong. Right after that is Star Wars Outlaws and that other game too, right? They're all like at once. Hold on. I'll open it up here. Oh, the Call of Duty Black Ops 6 beta is coming out on the 30th. That's right. Then within that next week, there's Quidditch Champions, Stalker 2, and the new Astrobot game. And the week after that is Warhammer 40K, Space Marines 2. So once we get to basically August 20th, we are busy nonstop with new releases. So I don't have enough time to even bring back Final Fantasy VII Rebirth and beat it. I hate to say it. It's just a victim of coming out at the time it did. I don't think anyone cared about it because there were too many other RPGs out at the time. It's a shame. I thought the game looked good and was playing well. I'll admit the open world was getting boring, but I liked the story and its elements, but no one else did. I felt like I was playing the game for myself. As I was playing it, literally people were telling me, we're bored to tears. Stop playing this. It's terrible. Do something else. So I did. I can't make my audience like a game. You know, I just can't. And again, if the game wasn't 60 hours, maybe I would bring it back in some capacity and play it. But 60 hours? If I play it a few hours a week, we won't beat it until the middle of next year. So I guess we're done. You know, it's a shame, but I mean, it's kind of the same thing that actually happened to the game to everyone else. It undersold massively. It didn't get close to Final Fantasy VII Remake. It didn't get close to the numbers they even thought it would do at all. They were shocked that it sold so low. So it seems like the world all kind of agreed on it. They didn't really care. And I can't make the world care about Final Fantasy VII again in 2024. You know, I can't do it, you know? Okay. So, Lutes, I'm sorry. Thank you for the super chat, but I'm sorry. That's just what happened, right? Okay. Continuing on. First tip of the day is a $2 tip from Kyle. This person says, I love your Street Fighter content, but have I been banned from chat? I don't know. Kyle, I don't know who you are. First time speaking with you, right, Kyle? If you think you're banned from chat, you can email me. I need a link to your URL of your YouTube channel or your at whatever your name is on YouTube. If you can send me that, I can look into it. But yeah, like, I have no clue. I don't know who you are. I would love to unban you. I don't know why you would have been banned randomly. Then again, yesterday when I played Street Fighter quite a lot, there was a lot of trolling and stuff, so maybe there was a mistake made by, you know, a mod. It could be. So, sorry about that. Shoot me an email and I'll have to look into it for you. Okay? Ooh, excuse me. Okay. I received a $5 tip from an anonymous tipper. I was impressed by your take on the Bethesda unionization and what's going on with Assassin's Creed. You have a unique perspective. You don't mince words. Thanks, Phil. All right, you're welcome. I try to approach it from a perspective where I'm not taking sides. Like, for example, I totally do support the unionization of people in game companies, but I wonder how it's going to affect Bethesda, who already is inefficient. Like, I got to see it from both sides. You know what I'm saying? You know, the same thing with the Assassin's Creed deal. I don't... the whole fact that people want to make it, oh, it's super liberal, oh, the liberals lied about it and shit like that. I don't really care about that. What I care about is now the whole story's been exposed for being fake, and people still want to defend it. Like, what? People in my chat defending it. No, the entire story's been blown apart. Historically inaccurate. It didn't happen. This guy made it up. He was disbarred from a Japanese university because of it, and they deleted his entire history with the university, and the guy is hiding by deleting his social media accounts. It's all fabricated, and people are like, oh, no, it really happened. Here's the... No, it didn't happen. It doesn't matter how many online articles you're referencing. The guy literally made it all up himself. He edited his own Wikipedia articles and shit to push his own narrative. Like, what don't you understand? I just don't understand people who want to believe the biggest nonsense. Even if it makes you feel good or feel bad or whatever it may make you feel, sometimes you just got to look at the facts for what they are, right? Yeah, it's a feel-good moment to hear that Bethesda's unionized. But it also could mean a bad move for the industry when they already can't make games. I see both sides of that. A lot of people won't, you know? Okay. All right, so good stuff. That's what we had to shout out so far. If you guys contribute in any way, I'll do a shout out here live. Remember, my goals. If I hit $50 in tips today, I would be happy. It'd be great if I could do that by the end of the Elden Ring stream. Thanks to those who support in any way. Today, obviously, if we hit the tips goal, we'll have the return of the Dumas helmet. And it's basically we're running down to the final times I'll wear it, right? And basically Elden Ring or the Dark Souls stream tonight or tomorrow night over on DSP Throwback. So yeah, if you want to see this, please support the stream today. Let's hit that tier 2 tips goal. And Dumas shall return to try to take down the final boss. Okay, what's up, Game Boy? How are you today? Okay, so if you would like to chat with me for the last 15-20 minutes of the show, please tag me in the chat, okay? Wow, Iron Man the Power says, I've almost done with Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I'm on chapter 13. I have one more chapter to go. I've spent 84 hours on it. See what I mean? Do you see my point about that? Okay. Double M says, I heavily recommend the Blood Fiend arm. It's a bleed colossal weapon. I recommend using an Ash of War to increase its bleed and two-handing it and choose charged R2. That's exactly what I have, Double M. That's literally exactly what I have. I just don't think I have the good Ash of War for it. So I think that we're actually going to get the good Ash of War for it today. And then we'll see if we can figure it out. Okay? If you're going to stick around, please stick around and help me with that. Don't Be Koala did a super chat. Okay then. Thanks, Don't Be Koala. Nice name. Yes, the former WWE wrestler Mansoor started tweeting at me yesterday. Come to find out, he's actually a fan of mine. Like a long-term fan. He was referencing the crouch jump from my Black Mesa run over a decade ago. Then he was referencing the band Raw. Do you guys remember when I first started on YouTube, I used that song, Raw, Do You Call My Name, in my reviews for the Hateful Truth reviews? And he referenced that. I was like, dude, that's like super old school stuff. That's awesome. So he's actually a fan from like over a decade ago. It's pretty cool. But then again, there's probably tons of people who are fans of mine from back in the day. And you would know, because who talks about Dark Side Phil in public eye today unless it's negative, right? So it was actually really cool to have a little conversation back and forth with him yesterday. A glimpse of the silent majority. Yeah, how many times do we now see people come in here and say stuff like, hey, you know, I'm a fan of yours from a million years ago, but I don't really talk that much, but I just want to say hi and here's some support. We see it often now, actually, I would say. You know, people who've been around for so long. I mean, dude, I have a YouTube channel based on my legacy because I've been around for 16 years. It's restoring the old playthroughs. You know what I mean? Like, I've been around so long, I can have a legacy YouTube channel. Do I still have the coffee table from my old condo videos? That coffee table is from 2009. No, it fell apart over the years. It disintegrated. It was thrown out probably like 7-8 years ago after I moved. Yes, I played Garu Mark of the Wolves. It was a great game. It was basically the SNK version of Street Fighter 3 Third Strike. And it was really good. I loved it back in the day. I thought it was very fun. Roger, yes, I'm going to play the Marvel vs. Capcom collection. I talked about it on this podcast. Where were you? Where the heck were you? The Dan Man tipped $1 asking, did I ever take creatine before? No, back when I was weightlifting in the early 2000s, creatine wasn't like mainstream. It's pretty much only for like power lifters, but I definitely had one of those like whey protein things that I would drink, you know, around the time that I was working out to regain protein mass or whatever it was. Excuse me. That stupid thing in my throat. My allergies again. Fart did a super chat. He says, it's sad how people don't care about Final Fantasy anymore. I mean, do you want to know the truth? It's solely on the shoulders of Square Enix is the reason why. And here's why. I feel, you can disagree. Final Fantasy has always had a good thing going, right? But what's happened is the last few iterations of Final Fantasy, it's like Square Enix did everything in their power to veer as far away from the formula that people like as humanly possible. You had an MMO, which at first failed at launch, but then was retooled and was very successful. But can you truly say Final Fantasy XIV is in the spirit of Final Fantasy classics? No. It's different. It's fine that it's different, but it's definitely different, correct? Then you have Final Fantasy 15, an unfinished, rushed mess that, again, had some tie-ins to Final Fantasy, but definitely feels like its own standalone universe. It doesn't feel like it's tying in to classic Final Fantasy at the end of the day, and it's a very unsatisfying game because it doesn't feel finished. Then you have Final Fantasy 15, or excuse me, 16, where they literally did everything possible to make it not feel like Final Fantasy. It's not even, it has no turn-based combat at all. They tried to make it adult-oriented like Game of Thrones, only a decade too late for it to make sense. Game of Thrones isn't nearly as popular as it was a decade ago. You know what I'm saying? Like, they tried so hard to be edgy and different. They veered from the formula of what people want. And then they expect that people are going to go back to the nostalgia well for Final Fantasy VII, Remake, Rebirth, etc. I think they will every once in a while, but do you really think they're going to keep going back to it over and over and over? I think with 7, the nostalgia was huge. And by the way, when Final Fantasy VII Remake came out, there wasn't a bombardment of other Final Fantasy content. We just had Final Fantasy 16, which was a very polarizing game and did not sell up to expectations of what Square Enix wanted. And then they released Rebirth right after, when there's literally no hype. And there's a million other competitors, right? You got Like a Dragon. You got Persona 3 Reload. You've got this. You've got that. I mean, hell, you just had Baldur's Gate 3 before. So you have all this competition in the RPG realm, and you expect that just because it says Final Fantasy VII, oh, everyone's going to drop everything and run to play it. No. There's already oversaturation in the market. So you've degraded the name Final Fantasy by trying to veer away from what the franchise was good for so long that the name no longer has weight. So now when you release Rebirth, people don't really care that much anymore. Yeah, it's their fault. I don't really feel like it's the fans that don't like Final Fantasy. I think Square Enix ran it into the ground with their bad decisions. That's what I think happened. Excuse me, this frog in my throat is bothering me today. Okay, thanks, Fart, for the super chat. Gee, nice saying. Okay. What else would you guys like to talk about today? Interesting. Stop asking me that stupid question. I'm not answering it. Satan says, have a hell of a day. Well, thank you, Satan. I'll try to have a hell of a day today. Final Fantasy 17? Don't you mean 16? 17? They made a 17? I wasn't even aware of that. I must have missed it. No, as I've already said, I would not revisit Cyberpunk 2077. It has nothing to do with the fact that the game was broken at launch. I could even care less about that. It was that I didn't like the game universe. I found it quite boring and annoying after just a few hours of gameplay. And on top of that, I felt that all the gameplay elements had essentially been done in other games better, like either Deus Ex or Borderlands. There was nothing in the game that gripped me and made me enjoy it. There was maybe 2 quest lines in the entire game that I thought were very unique and interesting. But with 85% of the time I'm playing the game, I'm bored. It just means it's a game I'm not going to like. So no, I'm not going to go back to a game that I already know I don't like and set myself up for more boredom and frustration. How's the weather? Still very warm, but the heat wave ends on Monday. Finally. It's been 2 weeks of a crazy heat wave we had here in Washington. Once again, they say this every year. Record heat. The longest stretch ever that we've had of this hot weather. We've never had 2 straight weeks of 80-plus degrees weather here. We've always had a break. Well, the break is finally coming on Monday. It'll only be in the 70s, meaning we'll actually have reasonable temperatures again, thankfully. So, yeah, finally breaking. But, yeah, it has been crazy, crazy hot this entire 2-week span, and my air conditioners have been pumping. I can't wait for the electric bill next month. Oh, boy. Oh, I think it's 88 again today. I think that's what it said it was going to be. I don't know. Yep. It's going to be 88 today, but then tomorrow only 81, and then after that, 73. So, whoa. A 15-plus degree differential within 2 days is a pretty good drop. So it should be much cooler. What's the Street Fighter character I want to return the most Street Fighter 6? Hakan. The character they will literally never bring back, Hakan, I want back. And they're not going to do it, ever. You'll never see Hakan back in Street Fighter. Just think of all the fun you could have. Hakan. Oh. Oh my goodness. Looks like you guys aren't too talkative today. Are we done? Are we done? Shall we end the show and just get ready for Elden Ring then? People aren't really tagging me too much, so maybe get ready. Okay. Let's do it then. Thanks for watching, everyone. Yeah, there's not really too much discussion, so we'll just wrap it up. That's fine. Thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the show. Tomorrow, obviously, I'll talk about how we did in Elden Ring, if we repaired this build, if we beat the boss, what we tried, and also how Riven ended. So it should be good. Plus, maybe we'll finally have the announcement about MVC Collection, which would be nice, because I would like to play the finished game that's already finished. Okay. Thanks, guys. See you tomorrow.